I don't know about you, but I would not want the children of the corn version of humanity to be researched to determine, hey, that's how humans work. Hey everyone, I'm Jared Hatch, and today on Crafting Men, we're going to see what we can learn from wolves about being masculine. But before we get into that, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Why do we use the term alpha dog or alpha male in our human scenario here? There seems to be an obsession with categorizing men, putting us into boxes and categories. You've got the macho man, you've got the alpha man, the beta man, all these different Greek alphabet terms that are floating around. There's a few new ones now. There always seems to be some sort of new way to put a guy into a box of what type of man he is and whether or not he's truly masculine. Where'd this all come from? It actually started back in the 1940s. There were some researchers that were looking at wolves. They thought that there was going to be some relevant understanding for how the animal kingdom worked with society and social structure and how we could apply and extrapolate how we as humans do this. Being it was the 1940s, cameras and things weren't all that effective, so they were stuck with studying wolves in zoos. You know, it wasn't like today where they could put a camera out there and film what wolves are doing while no one's around. Of course, zoos back in those days were more like a prison. They weren't really known for putting animals in a natural-like enclosure. Because, you know, when I take my kids to the zoo, I want to see what inmate number 327 looks like. I mean, nothing screams nature like a concrete jungle, right? But that's how zoos started. We've come a long way, you can tell, from the pictures here. Wolves were oftentimes put into small enclosures, like the ones that were on the screen there earlier. And given that wolves can walk up to 10 square mile for North American wolves here at least, that meant that their natural roaming and exploratory tendencies were severely handicapped there. They were severely limited in what they could do. Additionally, they would put all of these wolves into an enclosure that were strangers to each other. Anyone that knows anything about actual wolves in the wilderness knows that they tend to avoid each other. They're very territorial, and they're very defensive of their territories. And they usually don't fight amongst each other because they spend their energy on getting food and staying alive, not on conquest. And so they're very fluid with the territories that they have as each pack sort of ebbs and flows throughout the size of it. And none of this was able to be replicated within the zoo. But this is where the study started. What the researchers observed was that after you put all the wolves into a pen together, there became a violent outbreak of a struggle to determine dominance for who had the best female for the mate, who had first dibs on the food. Eventually you would have a top male and a top female dog, and this was the alpha couple that would then rule the pen. People took this, they grabbed hold of it, and they liked the idea of, it tied into that competitive nature for us as men to say, yeah, I'm going to be the alpha dog. I'm going to go in, I'm going to prove that I'm better, and we're just going to go in and take charge. And so it took off. It became sensationalized within culture. It became a concept of compliment or hate, depending on which way you view it. And like it or not, it's part of our language and our cultural idioms now. Let's look at this from a realistic lens, though. This is the equivalence of taking a bunch of high schoolers, putting them in a small enclosure, and then telling them to go figure out who's boss. It's really what we're looking at. I don't know about you, but I would not want the children of the corn version of humanity to be researched to determine, hey, that's how humans work. And let's not pretend that that is life. But that's what we've done with these wolves. We looked at them in an artificial environment. A lot of them were more adolescent because they were the young wolves leaving their pack to go out and establish their own, and that's how they were caught or captured. And then they were thrust into a strange and alien format in a very difficult, scary circumstance. So of course they were on guard. There was a lot of tension and stress, led to the violence and the overall out of character behavior that you would actually see from the wolves in the wilderness. Ironically, David Mech, the researcher who led a lot of the publications around the concept of an alpha wolf or an alpha couple, has spent the last many years or decade or two here trying to undo that research. He's been trying very hard to change the perception and the understanding of the wolves, because now that he's been able to observe wolves in the wild, he sees an entirely different construct. And that construct It's pretty funny in a way if you think about it. We've built this whole cultural concept around an alpha, beta, zeta, whatever male, and wolves don't even have them. Wolf packs are nothing more than a family. So, as we've gone into the wilderness to observe wolf packs over years and not just little stints of time, it has been observed that you will have a male and a female, which is true, they do mate for life. They then have their pups, and their pups are their pack, and they work together. There are times when the dad goes out and hunts and brings back food, and there are times he stays with the pups while the mom goes out and brings back food. There is no concept of this wolf going out there to take over the pack and to rule with strength and violence. The whole thing's made up. No, not made up. It was just misunderstood. It was misrepresented. And I've included David Mech's website in the link below. By all means, go check out his research. He does some phenomenal jobs of showing some real information on wolves. And this is where I think that we can really learn about masculinity from wolves. It's not about the dominance necessarily of other people. Obviously, us men, we care about competition. We want to know who's the best athlete. We want to know who's the best foot forward to win as a team. Having said that, that doesn't mean that we have to assault and deride. We just simply don't have to select someone. I sucked at sports in high school except for running. I was never picked first on any of the teams because, frankly, I sucked. I learned how to compete in ways that were good for me. And that wasn't a derogatory thing. That wasn't a mean thing. That was just simply the reality that the team was picking the best players in order to advocate their survival in the competitions. Anyone's going to do that with half a brain. It doesn't take a lot of intelligence. It doesn't mean that the competitive drive and the selection of who's best to advance your needs is flawed. What we can learn from these wolves is some fundamentally cool things. First and foremost, loyalty to your spouse. They've found after researching wolves in the wilderness, they usually don't have more than a 100-meter gap between the mated couple. They're always together except for when one is guarding the pups and the other one is out collecting food to bring it back to the pups. The next thing is devotion to the family. Everyone likes to talk about having impact in the world and all of these things, and they beat their chests and they pound on their keyboards and they feel emphatically about how right they are. But what does it mean? The internet doesn't care or know who you are unless you're already famous, unless you already have a platform. You're just another opinion that's out there, another irrelevant opinion at that. Go where you matter. Go to your sphere of influence. Start with your family, your friends, your community. Change their lives for the better. Focus on serving and taking care of them. Put your competitive energy and drive in how you can serve and help the people that have already decided to be a part of your life. Hope you enjoyed the episode today on Crafting Men. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the other videos. Also, stop by the website, check out some of our cool merch, craftingmen.com. Until next time, you'll have a great day.